It is time for the Royals Report. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is calling on the Queen to suspend Parliament. The move comes ahead of an October 31st deadline for the UK to leave the European Union. Prime Minister Johnson wants to stop Parliament from debating or voting on a so-called no-deal Brexit, which could then trigger an economic crisis. Many lawmakers are furious over the move, but the Queen likely will say yes to this request. BBC Royals correspondent Jonny Dymond joins us now from Buckingham Palace. Johnny, the Queen is on vacation now, I understand. What role will she play in suspending Parliament, and why is she unlikely to turn down this request?
Well, Parliament sits at her discretion and she has the right to either suspend it, what we call proroguing it, or to dissolve it completely ahead of a general election. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has sent a message. He sent 3 of his ministers up to Balmoral in Scotland to ask her to prorogue, to suspend it. Why will she do it? She does it because she acts on the advice of the Prime Minister and because the British Constitution is based on precedent, on what has come before. And there's plenty of precedent for suspending Parliament ahead of what's called the Queen's Speech, which is when the government of the day lays out its legislative programme. Now, the opposition is up in arms because Parliament will be suspended for 5 weeks in this critical constitutional period right ahead of the Brexit deadline. But the government is within its rights and will almost certainly get its way.
All right, let's move on to Prince Andrew's relationship with disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. He has denied any accusations he was involved in Epstein's crimes, but tell us about their relationship. What do we know?
Well, it is beginning to emerge about the closeness between the two of them, and it's been a source of acute embarrassment for the palace, for the royal family, and for Prince Andrew. We've had a series of statements both from the palace itself and, more extraordinarily, from Andrew himself, trying to clarify, deny and apologise for a relationship that stretches back to 1999, seems to have taken in multiple journeys on Jeffrey Epstein's jet in the company of some very young women, and critically, it was revealed around 10 days ago that Prince Andrew stayed at Jeffrey Epstein's house, or at least visited Jeffrey Epstein's house, 2 years after that 2008 conviction for child sex offences in Florida. It has been a matter of acute embarrassment, and it is something that simply refuses to go away.
The Epstein case has been big news here in the U.S. What's the reaction been in the U.K.?
I think it's been of astonishment, actually. We knew that Prince Andrew had maintained a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein after that conviction in 2008. We'd had a photograph of the two of them walking in Central Park. But the revelation that he'd been inside Jeffrey Epstein's house, the allegations from Jeffrey Epstein's private jet pilot that Prince Andrew had been a guest on that jet with some very young women several times, had flown to Jeffrey Epstein's private island. It's been front page news here day after day after day, and it is something, as I say, that's been extraordinarily difficult for the palace, something that does not die down, and something that the concern of the royal family is will only keep going as more and more court papers are released. It's been extraordinarily difficult, and it continues to be so.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan, have been under scrutiny lately of their own for their use of private jets. Can you talk to us about this controversy?
Yeah, it's been a very difficult summer for Harry and Meghan, really because of the charge of hypocrisy. Harry has gone out of his way to paint himself as an environmentalist, talking about leaving as light a footprint on the planet as possible. At the same time, in the last couple of weeks, it was revealed that they had taken 4 journeys in private jets, and the cascade of criticism, again from some newspapers in particular, has been very, very strong, but also commentary from the general public. Leaping to their defence came various celebrities, including one Sir Elton John, who said that he had provided 2 of those jet journeys to his vast mansion in the south of France, and that he had paid an undisclosed sum to offset the carbon footprint. But the charge of hypocrisy has stuck. It's not been a good summer for Harry Harry and Meghan. There's been an almost unceasing drip, drip, drip of criticism over how they act and who they work with and how they present themselves in public. I think it's been a very difficult time for them, and I think that central charge that they say one thing but they do the other has stuck with a lot of people.
Jonny Dymond, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.